All right. Good evening, and you're welcome to tonight's class. It's good to have you one more time, and it's good to do this. We'll continue from where we stop, but I would like to inform you that I won't stay more than an hour this night. I have a meeting to join by 10:15. So whatever we can do before 10:15, once it's 10:15 or thereabout, I'll pull out. But let's see what we can. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. Can someone confirm I'm audible enough?
You're
You're
audible
audible enough.
Yes, yes, you're audible.
All right.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right.
I can hear you.
I share my screen.
We can hear you loud and clear.
All right. Thank you for that.
We can't hear you.
He has not started. Just so you know.
All right. Sorry. I'm back. Okay. So I'm sharing my screen already. All right. So let's get right into business. Okay. So the last time we have been able to discuss something on MPV, IRR, and likes, and also we talked about consideration of uh, taxation. Please, everybody should go on mute. The only time you can unmute is if you have a question. Please just go on mute. All right. So we talked about inflation and taxation and how they affect your the calculation of your net present value and your present value. So I explained to you that there is the concept of uh, there is a concept in taxation that we have to consider here. The concept of capital allowance, which is something like a replica, a replacement of the accounting depreciation, which is not acceptable for the purpose of taxation. So this is also being considered here to say what are the things we can do to make sure that we save reasonable money for the business. Uh, okay, let's consider the capital allowance that we can claim. Let's claim that. Then out of the capital allowance, let's keep 30% and record it as something we have been reasonably able to save out of tax. So just go back to the Excel sheets to study whatever we have there very well. And if you have questions, always reach out. I have a lot of people that have been asking me questions. I really appreciate that, especially those people that have aside from the question we solved here, I can see a few people they have been able to attempt some other questions, and when they have challenges, they bring it to me. Then we address it. So that is what I want to see, and it's highly commendable of you. So we keep the spirit high, then we move on to the next chapter. So here is another very sweet part of this uh, course. So we name this chapter risk and uncertainty. Risk and uncertainty. Now, before we even go further, you need to understand the difference between risk and uncertainty. And let's look at it this way. Let's think about it. Now, if I say something is too risky, if I say something is risky, that shows that I am kind of scared. I'm kind of, in trying to think in a very careful way, just for me to establish the fact that I stand the chance to lose. Not only to lose, I also stand the chance to win. So when we talk about risk, right, and relating into the project outcome, the project's long-term viability, basically what we are referring to as is that, see, in case of risk, if I say something is risky, if I say I have a level of risk involved here, what I'm saying is that I have different possible outcomes. Mark that word, different possible outcomes. So I have various options. So I have option one, two, three, four, to infinity. So what I'm sure is that I have many options. And out of this option, I will surely go with one. One will surely happen to me. One will surely happen to me. So what we are saying there is that in case of when you say something is risky, in case of risk, you have a lot of possible outcome, possible results that will happen as a result of that action you want to take. A very reasonable example that all of us are familiar with is a die. In a role of a die, you have six basic options. It's either it returns a one, a two, a three, a four, a five, or a six. You have many options, but one thing you are certain about is that you will surely come out. One of these six options will surely happen to you. That is risky. So it's highly risky. So the probability that you're definitely going to get a one out of six is as simple as 1/6. The probability or possibility of you getting a 2/6 is as easy as to say 2/6, which is what? Which is 1/2. The possibility of you getting 3/6 is also 1/6. So like that, like that, like that. So what we are saying there is that in case of risk, you know what can happen to you. A very good example. For someone that is not married, you are not married, you're having sexual affair. You know that two things can happen. Either you impregnate someone or you do not impregnate someone. So you have two options there, but you shall know that you are taking risk. Any of this can happen to you. The good Lord be on your side, you don't impregnate someone. The other Lord be on your side, you impregnate someone. So you have two options, you have various options, and you have idea of what your outcome will look like. That is just risk for you. Uncertainty is the senior brother of risk. The problem with uncertainty lies in the fact that In case of risk, you can predict that, oh, out of six, I can catch one, I can catch two, I can catch three, four, five, or six. But in case of uncertainty, you have a problem there. And what is the problem? The problem is that it is not so easy for you to even have an idea of what your possible outcome will be due to one major reason. And what is that reason? You don't have sufficient information. Now, mark that word, sufficient information. So it makes this whole situation not so clear. Rather, what you can stay with is a guess. Can just be guessing, right? It can be an intelligent guess and it can be the other way around. So that is uncertainty. You are not pretty sure of what will happen. A very good example. When we do a financial projection for a business, let's say we want to do a financial projection that runs for a period of 5 years. So I am the finance business partner, and the business approached me that Joshua, come in the next couple of years, in 5 years time, I want to look at what my bottom line, my EBT or EBITDA or whatever will look like. Help me do one or two. These are what you know to do best. I'll now say, okay, give me present assumption. What is our run rate? What are we delivering? What is our volume? What are the revenue assumptions and the likes? I get all my inputs, combine this with my business knowledge, combine this with with the trend, combine it with what is currently happening, what has happened before. Based on this, I can use this to uh, forecast what will happen in the future. But one thing is certain, if I say my business will deliver a total of 50,000 cases volume wise, right? I have done that based on the input I've received and some assumptions that has gone into that. It is highly possible that I will not deliver that. It is highly possible that I deliver more or less. But what makes you a finance business partner that stands out is the ability to at least get us to a position whereby we are not too far, we are not too near what you have projected. So it is a very uncertain situation for me, as anything can happen and I can make more or less. Government policy can happen to us, climate change can happen to us, external factor can happen to us, anything can happen to the business that we that basically the external environment can impact that decision. So we are not super certain. We cannot say 100% this is what is going to happen. So it is very possible for us, to assess this, both the risk, the uncertainty, and quantify both using various approach, right? So the question will come to you and give you a very dicey situation and say, okay, based on what we are giving to you, help us estimate the level of risk or uncertainty involved in this. There are various methods that you can use to estimate this, but at the moment, I think you are restricted to about four, going by the syllabus. So you have what we call the sensitivity analysis, and which is like the other part of all of them. The sensitivity analysis is a very common approach. You have the other one we call the probability analysis, which is what I just explained the other way around, which is the same probability that they have been teaching us since our secondary school days. You have another one which we call the risk adjusted discount rate, and you have the last one which we call the discounted payback period, which something we have discussed and we'll still discuss. But for tonight, I will do just sensitivity analysis and expected value. Then from the next class, we pick up the rest. We pick up the remaining two. All right. So let's pick them one by one. Please, at any point, if you have any question, just unmute and go ahead. If you don't have a question, please don't unmute. All right. Good. Sensitivity analysis. Now, what do I mean by sensitivity
Uh,
analysis?
Please, before you proceed further, I don't know. I don't know if you can hear me Maybe is there any relationship between these three: risks, uncertainty, and sensitivity analysis?
Hey, can you take that again? I'm struggling to hear you.
Like
Can you take it?
I want to know the relationship between risks, uncertainty, and sensitivity analysis. Like in
Okay, so you want the relationship, if there is any between risk, uncertainty, and what?
uh, sensitivity analysis.
Sensitivity analysis. Okay. Right. Yes. Okay. Let me take it one more time. Now, if you want to establish a relationship or a correlation between these two, first is to ask that is there any relationship? Is there any correlation? The answer is yes. There exists a relationship between risk, between uncertainty. While the third one you mentioned, the sensitivity analysis, is just a method of appraising the impact of both risk and uncertainty. So it's just like a way we appraise their impact. Now let's go back to risk and uncertainty, right? Every business, uh, you see these two terms, risk and uncertainty, they have a very close relationship in the sense that they can determine what will happen to your business. They can determine if your business will prosper or otherwise. They can determine whether your business will survive in the long run. So majorly, one very important relationship that happens to them is that they are a principal business driver. Now, what do I mean by principal business driver? Risk on its own lies in the fact that I want to invest. Let's say I have £1 billion to invest. I have project A, B, C, D, E, and F. All of them with promising return. All of them with what? With promising return. I'm at liberty to invest in any of them because they are not mutually exclusive. They're independent. I can invest in any of them. I know for sure that anyone I invest will give me a return to the best of my ability. I know they will give me a return, right? But the return they will give to me varies. What project A will give to me will be different from what project B, C, D to the last one. They give me different results. That is a risk. I want to take a risk. The risk there is that project A, if I invest there, can give me very low return, but I will still get a return. It is a risk. The uncertainty that is there is that return that I'm even promising myself, and what if there's a government policy tomorrow that affects the sector that I'm playing in? What if there is a climate change tomorrow that affects my raw material? What if there is a bottleneck that will not allow me to do that production? So it's a very uncertain world. So we can say for you to have the best analysis, for you to have the best appraiser, for you to play at the best side, it is very important to consider these two pari passu. So you consider the two of them uh, concurrently at the same time when you're analyzing uh, any financials that you give to your business. So basically, those are the very relationship that exist between risk and uncertainty. They are intertwined. They work together, and they're like they're like two sides of the same coin that must be considered in everything you do. While the last one, sensitivity analysis, is just an appraisal technique for you for you to establish the impact of either your risk or your uncertainty. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you so much for the clarification. I'm grateful.
All right. So let's go on. So first, let's talk about sensitivity analysis. What do we use sensitivity analysis to do? We use sensitivity analysis to uh, establish the viability of a product when there is a situation of uncertainty. Now, mark that word. Now, when it comes to sensitivity analysis, we use it to, appraise the impact of a project when that project is faced with a very uncertain outcome. Now, this is telling you that it best fits to express a very uncertain situation. That is sensitivity analysis. How does sensitivity analysis work? Now, this is how it works. Sensitivity analysis will help you to assess how, from the word sensitivity, right? It will help you to establish how sensitive a project return or NPV. You know, NPV is actually the return, net present value, right? How how sensitive the project return uh, with relationship to the variances that might occur as a result of the contribution of every items that goes into that return. I'll pick it one more time. And this time, okay, let me use an example. Okay. Now, you will agree with me that whenever you want to start a business, a project, a lot of things will come in. From one, the cost of the, maybe you want to acquire a business or even a fixed item, a fixed asset. The cost of that fixed asset comes in. The cost of establishing a project comes in, which I used to call the initial outlay, right? That comes in. Then you have started using that machine to produce. Another factor there is that your production volume can be impacted by the quality of raw material you get, the quantity of raw material you get. That's aside. After you have produced, another factor that can also happen is the volume you have for sale. You can produce 100 units but sell only 80 units. That is another factor there, right? So what sensitivity analysis will help you appraise is to say, how is each of these elements, how are they impacting or how sensitive are they to the general outcome, to the profitability of this business that I want to do. So this technique takes its time to, take an estimate for each factor, one after the other. Each factor you have there, one after the other, and establish that, okay, if there is a change in one factor, how will they impact the necessary factor? Otherwise, you can say that it helps you to calculate the change that is necessary, the change that will happen in material, the change that will happen in sales volume, the change that will happen in production volume, the change that will happen in the initial outlay of the what is it called? Of the machine you want to buy, of the fixed assets, that will necessarily pull the return or the NPV of that investment to zero. Now, the point zero is that point where most time we call the break-even point. That is the point in which you are not making any loss, any profit. You are not making any loss. So you are neither making losses nor making loss. You are just the way you are. What you put in is what you get. So that is what sensitivity analysis will say. Worst case scenario, over Buruton, worst come to worst, what change in my machine cost will return my return to point zero. That is what some PV will help you do. That is what sensitivity analysis will help you do. And if you are so with me, you will agree with me that I've been mentioning NPV, NPV, NPV. So what am I saying? I'm telling you that indirectly, when you want to establish the sensitivity position of a project, there will be need for you to do a kind of NPV calculation. So your knowledge of NPV will help you here. All right. So let's look at one example on sensitivity analysis. A very good example, a very detailed one uh, that will help us further understand what sensitivity analysis is all about. Okay, so I have a question up here. And the question reads that there is a business scholar limited that is considering a project that has 4 years. So mark that, note that somewhere. The project life is 4 years, right? The project life cycle is 4 years. Now let's go. And it gives us, the detail of the project. That these are the information relating to the project. The first thing we have there is what they call initial outlay, which is the cost of acquiring the machine. Good. Then there is another. Okay, lest I forget. Lest I forget. I remember something now. There is a pilot question on ICANN website. Someone sent it to me. I think a member of this class. I wanted to forward to the group, but I even forgot. I'll forward it after this class. I have taken my time to study it, and it's actually very nice. So for FM, FM we don't have past question, but ICANN has given us something like a pilot test, which is very good. So during our revision, that is what we'll be focusing on. Don't worry, we have enough time for revision. That is what we'll be focusing on. But before that time, for your personal study, right, I'll forward it to the group so that you can start using it for your practice and start using it for practice. So I'll do that. So once we are done with this letter, I'll send it to the group. And please make sure you attend something there. Once you attend something and you have any challenge, just come to us. Yeah, right. All right. So back to our question. So we have the initial outlay of about 60 million, which is the cost of acquiring new machine. Then they are also telling us that our annual sales is about 120,000 units. Selling price per unit is about 715 naira per unit. Variable cost per unit is about 450 naira per unit. Annual cash fixed costs. Annual cash fixed costs is about 1.2 million naira. And they're not telling us that the cost of capital for this project is just about 10%. Okay, do something now. What do you want to do? Help us one, compute MPV. Now the question is specific, it's asking you to do MPV, right? But if this question is silent on MPV, just have it at the back of your mind that you will still need to do MPV because there's no way you'll be able to calculate to establish the sensitivity if you don't go by the route of okay, let me get the MPV. So just have it at the back of your mind in case the question is silent, in case the question is not talking about MPV, just know that you will do MPV before you'll be able to establish what your sensitivity analysis is. All right. So you have the question now, and you want to establish the sensitivity analysis of the sensitivity of that project. Now, what are you going to do? It's very simple. How many years? 4 years. You have 4 good years, right? The project will last for 4 years, right? Now, you have the year here. You have year zero. That is your first year. Yeah, that is the initial year rather. You have the description. You have open the column for description, open the column for cash flow, right? Open the column for GCF, which is the discounting factor, and open another column for your present value, for your present value, which is what you want to use to establish your MPV. Now, let's go. You would like to ask me a question here that see in the previous examples we have been seeing, they will give us year zero, year one, year two, year three, year four, year five, and they will now come to another column and say cash flow. They give us cash flow for year one, year two, year three, year four, year five. But this time we don't have it in that order. So how are we going to approach the MPV calculation? Good. This is how we're going to do it, right? We have opened the necessary column, year description, cash flow, the DCF, and present value. Now, for the first year, year zero, go to your question, you will agree with me that your year zero is the year you are making the investment. So definitely the cost of the machine will be the cost for year zero. You will agree with me uh, on that. So that is how I have the 60,000 for year zero. Yeah, that is how I have that 60,000 for year zero. So I'm saying that for year zero, which is the first year, I will only have the initial investment. Nothing has come in. Nothing is also going out. Now, let's go on. Back to the question. In the question, I also have what they call annual sales in unit. Annual sales in unit. My annual sales in unit is 120,000 unit. While my selling price per unit is about 750 naira. This is what I'm speaking to. My annual sales is 120. The selling price per unit is about 750 naira. So if I have that, I can use that to establish what my total sales is, right? What my total sales is. I can use that to establish what my total sales is. Now, if my total sales unit is 120,000 and my selling price per unit is about 750 naira. So I can easily say for me to get my total sales, uh, I will have to say my sales volume multiplied by the price per unit. Sales volume multiplied by the price per unit. So with this, I'm able to establish what my total sales is. And for my discounting factor, good. So I did something here, right? What did I do? All I did here is to establish the fact that which you can also do separately. If you do separately, we are going to, because at this point I'm expecting a question. What's the question? I'm expecting someone to ask me that. Anybody even hearing me? Okay, okay. All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right.
We can hear you.
All right. All
Yes,
right.
we can hear you.
Okay, okay. Thank you. So I'm expecting a question
We
here.
can hear
I'm
you.
expecting someone to say, when you say this is annual sales, right? You say this is annual sales per unit, and you say this is selling price per unit, and you say the project will run for 4 years. Then why are you just multiplying 120 by 750 once? Is that not just 1 year out of the 4 years? I expect that question. Now, you can also go that route to say, to say for each year, I will do, for each year, I do 120 times 70. I'll call it year one. Year two, I do 120 times 70. Year three, I do like that, like that, like that, like that. But what that will make me do is that will make me open 4 columns for just sales, another 4 columns for variable cost, another 4 columns for fixed cost. So I'll do about 12 columns. So it will be too long for me. So I'll just say, okay, why not just collapse the whole four, right? Is actually correct that way. You can also say you want to show all your years. Is also correct. But if you are doing it the other way, what you will do here, now look up so that you understand this. If you check my formula bar, you see a lot of stories there. Now, it's just a way for me to establish what my discounting factor is. For my question, my cost of capital is 10%. Agreed. You will agree with me that I've told you several times that your discounting factor is 1 divided by open brackets 1 plus, where is that plus? 1 plus R close the bracket raise it to the power of n. You agree with me on that? And if you agree with me on that, that settles it. It is what I have used here. So here I'm saying that instead of doing it for the years, once I'm not doing it for year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, once I'm not doing it separately, then why not just do it for all the years at once? So I'm saying that for year one, for year uh, for year one, I'll do. For year two, I'll do raised to power two. For year three, I'll do what raised to power three. For year four, I'll do raised to power four as well. So that is what I've done in this formula part. So the first one here is just to say the first one here represents the year one. That is 1 divided by 1 plus 0.1, which is 10% raised to power 1. That is year one. The second is to say 1 divided by 1 plus 1 raised to power 2 here 2. And you see that I'm adding them. So I have plus in between them. I'll do for year 3. I'll do for year 4. So with this, I'm able to establish what my discounting factor is for all the years. So I'll return back. My sales is 120,000 multiplied by 750. This gives me about 90 million for just a year, right? For just a year. Good. My variable cost too is, if you go to my question, my variable cost per unit is 450 naira. This 450 naira that I have here, that is my variable cost per unit. And what is my volume? My volume still remains 120,000. So I'll just say 450 multiplied by 120,000. So that gives me about 54 million for variable cost. Good. For fixed cost, you agree with me that fixed cost will not change. Fixed cost will not change because when I say something is fixed, it remains the way it is. So it's not going to change. So I'll maintain about 1.2 million that I have that is given to me in the question. And having established what my discounting factor is for the years, sum for the years, and having summed them together, I can now easily say my present value is my cash flow multiplied by this, multiplied by discounting factor, my variable cost multiplied by discounting factor, and my fixed cost multiplied by discounting factor. Again, you would like to also question me that why are you having your variable cost, your fixed cost, your machine cost in negative, and you are having your sales value as a positive number? Now we explain. Here you need to understand what is inflow and what is outflow. You need to understand what is an inflow and what is an outflow. You will recall that I explained to you that your NP, which is your net present value, wants to show you a net position between what comes in and what goes out. A very good example, if I say I work and at the end of every month, they pay me 50,000. Now, I would like to establish that out of this 50,000, how did I spend this money? I bought I bought food stuff, I sent money home, I bought phone, I sent money to my girlfriend, I did all sort of things. Now, where do I stand? What is left to me? Whatever is left to me between what comes into my account and what goes out is the net position. So that is what we're also doing here. See yourself as a business entity. When you buy machine, what happens to you? You you pay, right? It, money leaves your account, right? I put that one in negative. But when you make sales, what happens to you? Money comes into your account. You received money, right? When you make sales. When I say something is a variable cost, any cost will make money to leave your account. Hence, I'm putting it in jacket. Fixed cost is also a cost to you. it will make you to be in a situation where you have to let go of some money. So that is why I have those elements in jacket. Then establishing a net position is very easy at this point. I will just say, okay, take your outflow, take your outflow, then subtract, or take your inflow, then subtract all your outflow
I
from
have a question, please.
whatever it's if inflow for you. Go ahead.
Yes, from the question, from the table you have up there, I can see annual cash fixed cost as 1.2 million. When your solution, you're having it as 12. So I'm confused.
It's because I'm putting it in million. Now you will see
Yes,
that wait,
this
you,
this this one in the solution is showing 12 million.
yes,
But the
yes,
one this table at the top where we have our unit, variable cost per unit, selling price per unit, the annual cash fees cost here is 1.2 million. So that is my question. Here we are having 1.2, but here we are having 12 million.
okay, all right. So let's pick it one by one, right? I have I have 60 million, right? If I have 60 million, if I want to reduce whatever I have by uh uh what will I call it? I want to reduce by three zeros, right? I'll do 60. I'll say 60 million. I'll just divide by 1,000, right? Zero to 60. Let me pick it from that. I'll say 60 million divided by 1,000. That gives me 60. I'll do the same for 120. So if I do the same for 120, what am I having? I'm having just 120. So the difference between this is to say in 60 million, I have 100 of million in 60 times. 100, no, 100 of thousands that makes a million. I have it, yeah. No. Oh, I'm missing. Okay, let's pick it one more time. So I have 60
You're
million.
not getting
I
my
get your point.
Sorry,
question.
sir. If you look at the
This
fixed cost, where it's addressing is the fixed cost of 12,000. You have on the question, you have 1.2 there. If you divide by 1,000, you have 1,200 as against 12,000. That's what he's trying to
Yes,
bring
it's
out.
supposed to be 1-2, not
Okay,
12,000.
1,200.
I get you now. I get you now. This is your point, right?
yes.
Okay. Oh, thank you very much for that. Thank you. All right.
Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Go
Sir,
ahead.
in your solution, based on the table that you draw, I think you draw that table because we have a constant annual sales. What about when we have a different sales for for that 4 years? Like since we have like let's say in year one we have 1,000 to 120,000, then in year two we have 100,000 and like that. So are we going to draw our table like this? Thank you.
No, thank you for that question. Good, it's a very good observation, right? So the reason why I'm able to go this route is because I know that for each year, right, my annual sales is a constant number, 120,000 per year. That is why I'm able to say, okay, let me just do for all the 4 years at once, right? Everything I have there are the same for all the years. But in a situation that you just mentioned, let's say for year one, my sale is 120, year two, my sale is 130, year three, my sale is 150. Now you can't do it this way, right? You won't do it this way. You have to do it the other way that I've mentioned to tell you that, so you have to show it year by year. So you can't lump the years together just like I have done here. Instead of bringing the 4 years together now, then you have to, instead of bringing the 4 years together, you won't be able to do it like that, right? Otherwise, your solution will not be correct. And then you have to say, okay, year one, sales, calculate that. Year two, calculate that to say what was the volume for year two multiplied by what was the price for year two. Now, this can happen if in a situation whereby you have the volume when the volumes are different for each of the years, and also let's say the selling price per unit too. You have different selling price for each of the year, or maybe they are telling you that each year they are planning to increase price by this certain percentage, or they are trying to reduce price by this 30%. So you obviously know that you can't just work the 4 years at once. You have to do it year by year, applying each year peculiarities based on the question that is given to you. So that's why I used to say the best thing is to just understand the basics. So once you understand, we are able to digest what we are even trying to calculate in the first place. Any other question comes, the first thing you sit down, understand the question first, interpret the question, break it down, and from there, that will determine the best approach to that question. So, yes, so thank you very much for that
Yeah,
observation.
sorry, sir.
A very nice question.
Sorry, sir. Well done, sir.
All right.
For this discounting cash flow for the to
Yes.
get 10%, is there a way we can press it on calculator like to get for the whole 4 years? Not like pressing it year after year, then hard.
I will say just do it separately. I'm able to do everything at once now because I'm using Excel. This is Excel. So I'm able to press everything at once on Excel. If you are using
There's a
calculator now, you do it year by year. Do year one, write it somewhere. Do year two, write it somewhere. Year three, write it somewhere. Year four, write it somewhere. Then you can now sum all of them together and get a single
side
number.
there's a way that we can use to calculate this. That's
Yes.
one minus open brackets one point one plus discount rate close bracket raised to power the total number of the year divided by the discount rate. You get it.
Okay. 1 plus
Yeah.
open
Well,
bracket, 1 plus
No, one minus one
1
minus
minus or 1.
one minus open bracket one plus the discount rate close bracket raised to power the total number of the year, then divided
Okay.
by the discount rate. You get that's annuity formula. They call it annuity formula.
Okay.
okay. Can we test that? Let's test that and see if
That's what I'm trying to
let's
do.
someone.
1 minus 1 minus.
You have
It's working that way,
let's
sir.
someone.
It's working that way. 1 minus
It
open
works.
bracket 1 plus.
It works.
It works, yes. It will get 3.170,
Please, can you come
1.6
again?
up.
I did not get it.
1 minus open bracket 1 plus the rate, closing bracket
Okay.
minus number of years, raised to power minus number of years divided by the rate.
Minus 4 divided
1
1.5.
minus open bracket 1 plus r closing bracket minus n. It will raise to power minus n divided by rate.
Okay.
N will be
Okay.
4
I'm
with the
talking
minus 4.
Someone has do well to drop it in the message. Please check the message for the formula,
Thank
please.
you. Thank you.
Please, I want to ask a question. Why is this discounting factor different from the ones we've been solving? Well, is there a name for it? Or when are we going to know when to use it in particular?
We can
Okay,
use
so
it.
it's not defined. It's not. It's not defined. They are telling you that it's project
Like
specific, so it's still your cost of capital.
I know it's my cost of capital, but I want to ask, like, why are we using the lump sum? Like what you did here, how you got the similar numbers for year 1, year 2, and year 3? I think if I'm to use a calculator, I'll do year 1, year 2, year 3, add all of them together and divide it by 3, right?
Mm-mm. So the reason
Okay.
why I'm able to do this way is because this is Excel now. You know Excel. Excel will make your life easier. So I just press everything on Excel one time. I get my answer. So if you are using calculator, right? Unless you want to go by the formula that someone just taught us, if that formula actually works to help us get all the years at once, of course, we go that route. But if you are calculating, I need to calculate year by year. Then when you are done, sum all the years together. And the reason why we are doing it this way, right? The reason why we are summing everything together is it lies in the fact that you have the same from the question, you have the same volume, annual sales volume. So what they are telling you is that for each of the year, the volumes are the same, 120,000. It will not change. Selling price per unit, that one remains the same. Variable cost per unit, they remain the same for each year. Annual cash fixed costs, they remain the same each year. So if all your variables remains the same, if all your variables remain the same and nothing is changing, then of course, why not go this route? You can go this route. But let's say any of the variable changes. Let's say even this discount factor. Let's say the question is telling you that in year 2 or year 3, there is possibility that the project's cost of capital will increase. Then you definitely know that in year 3 you can't use 10%. So you have to apply the peculiarities of what is happening in year 3 to year 3. So you won't be able to, you know, lump it together like this. But otherwise, we have to break it down year by year. Or let me just make it clear. There is no rule that says you must do it this way. So if this is not super easy for you, if you prefer the route of okay, let me break it down year by year. Let me say okay for sales, I'll do sales for year 1, I'll do sales for year 2, year 3, year 4. Of course, you will still arrive at the same answer, provided you are using the right approach. You still arrive at the same answer. So you can see now this looks faster, and yes, this looks faster. But if the route of okay, let me break it down year by year. I want to do sales for year 1. I want to do selling price for year 1. I want to do variable cost for year 1. Because of course, you're always welcome. You can go that route. So yes, you can go that route. Okay. All right. So I think that is clear. So when you have gotten to this point, you have been able to calculate your net present value. You have written that one somewhere. Now, if you're able to calculate the net present value uh, position, then you are done. Once you establish your net present value, then establishing what sensitivity is no longer a problem or would not be a problem for you. Again, what did we explain to ourselves the other time about sensitivity analysis? We said that sensitivity analysis, you just want to, that person should go on mute. Sensitivity analysis want to help us to establish a relationship between, you know, each item in each factor input, each determinant item, and the total value or the total return. So what am I going to do? I want to I've established the MTV, then I want to establish the sensitivity. But there is a concept that is very important we understand here, and that is the concept of contribution. Concept of contribution. Now let me explain to you. For those of us that we are familiar with financials, for those of us that prepares financials, right? You will agree with me that many companies, especially a manufacturing business, will first time decide to or will appreciate focusing more on contribution rather than gross profit or gross margin. And the reason is very simple. Now, if you want to calculate your gross profit, what are you going to do? You just pick your sales, right? You also pick your cost of sales. Now your major input under your cost of sales are the factor inputs, your materials and all those things, right? Raw material, packaging material, supply chain costs and supply chain costing direct and every other ancillary cost. You bring them together, you make them your cost of sales. Then you take them out of your sales, your GSR, gross sales revenue. You'll be able to establish what your gross profit is. You'll be able to establish what your gross margin is. That is gross profit. But what contribution will help you do is different. How do you calculate contribution? You will say your sales revenue, your GSR, less variable costs. Less variable cost. That is your contribution. And why is it always good to go by the route of contribution? In real life, right? In real life, uh, contribution, in fact, I can say contribution is king. In the long run, contribution is king because contribution is that thing that will help you establish your problem. How do you calculate contribution? Contribution with sales, sales revenue, your gross sales value, less variable cost. Less variable cost. Sales revenue, less variable cost. Now, what contribution is telling you is that your variable costs, there are those costs that even when you are forecasting, even when you're forecasting, when you are projecting, you are very certain that it is possible that this cost will change. So these costs are because there are changes, they move with volume or any other factor that determines them. So they are not fixed, right? They don't change. So anything can happen there that will impact you. But fixed cost remains, it will remain unchanged. So your fixed cost 20 months, nothing will happen to it. But variable cost, anything can happen in there. If you decide to go the route of revenue, where you pick sales and you take out all the costs, you get gross profit, well, that will show you a certain position. But it is possible that you have a problem with your variable cost. That variable cost would have changed your move drastically. And if you check the gross margin, you won't be able to see. But if you come to contribution to say, okay, I just want to see what my contribution look like, take my variable cost out of my sales. I want to see my contribution. So the bigger the contribution pool, the better the contribution margin, the better for the business. Because what that thing is telling you is that if everything that has happened, everything that is fluctuating, if it has happened and I still maintain this position, then my fixed cost is this percentage, then I should still be in save. And so before you go further to say, okay, I want to start ranking, I want to start showing how sensitive all these factor inputs are, I need to understand what my contribution is. That's the next thing. And what do? I say, let me calculate my contribution. How do I calculate my contribution? Just like I explained, I will pick my sales. I will less variable cost from it. That is the formula for contribution. Your sales revenue less variable cost. Your sales revenue take out variable cost from it. You have established your contribution, right? That doesn't stop there. After you have been able to establish what your your variable cost, your contribution is, then there is need for you to also establish what your uh what your annual cash will be. What your annual cash will be. Now, by establishing what your annual cash will be, it's as good as you saying, okay, let me now take the fixed component. Let me now take the fixed component out of my annual cash, which you can also sometimes refer to as your gross margin when if you are relating it to accounting now. Good. So you have established your contribution up here, but you will not stop there. You say, okay, I have this contribution 36 billion. I want to further say what if I consider my cash, my no no, what if I consider my fixed cost? Now, considering your fixed cost means that you have to take out that fixed cost from your contribution. So I can just say 36 million, which is my contribution, less what I have here. Then I have my annual cash flow, or annual cash that will be left, which is also what we have done here to say. Sales, less variable cost, less fees cost. Good. So I have gotten to this stage. I am fine to a reasonable extent. Now, I now want to start the real sensitivity calculation. Just like I mentioned to you that sensitivity wants to help you establish how each element or how each component here will help us drive how each component will help drive or will help affect or help impact our total return. Now, I'll pick them one by one. I have machine cost here, right? What is that major element that drives machine cost? Is still machine cost. All right. So I break it down. Now, okay, before I go there is a formula for sensitivity analysis. You just need to master it now. Or even without mastering it, you can just try to think about it just by going by my explanations, right? So you will say that sensitivity analysis, to calculate that, it will be NPV, which is like your total NPV you have calculated for the project, divided by PV of each of the variables. PV of each of the variables, they multiply by 100%. You see now we are just seeing sorry. You are just saying what is total NPV divided by what is the present value of each variable, then we multiply by 100. So it's as simple as that to see how strong is my total NPV to even cover the machine cost. How strong is my total NPV? It's as good as me saying I can even do it by this side. I can even say this is 50 million made as my total NPV. How strong is 50 million in covering the machine cost? This is it. This is as simple as this. So I'll say 50 million divided by 60 million. So let me log this so that I'll be able to roll it down. All right. So if I say this, then I can easily roll it down and say these are my contribution. See, these are my contribution. So I'm saying that my my uh my MPV will be able to cover uh will be able to cover my machine cost by about 84%. Let me negate this. All right. By about 84%. Let me negate it down here too. Okay. So I'm saying that my NPV will be able to cover my machine cost by about 84%. So should in case something happen today, my total NP will just cover my machine cost by about just 18%. My sales will cover my MPV will cover my sales by about 50 by 18%. So what I'm saying is that a change by about 18% in sales will drive my total MPV. Like that's variable cost for fixed cost. So having got to this point, you can easily establish what they look like, what impact they are driving. This is not where this question solve. The solution still goes further than this, where we later consider contribution and annual cash flow. That is 10:15. I might need to pull out now. But any question you have, just put it together for me ahead of Saturday class, or you can send it to me personally. Send it to me on WhatsApp, and I will do justice to the questions there. So, guys, apologies for this. I need to pull out and join an official call now, and let's connect on Saturday. Let's connect on Saturday. So, I will add two more questions to this my Excel sheet. So I'll solve two more questions in this my Excel sheet, possibly tomorrow. I'm just praying I have enough time. So before I send to you, so that you have something to study ahead of Saturday. So any question you have, just keep it to Saturday, please, or you send it to me on WhatsApp. All right, guys.
Sir, can you
Uh,
help us?
Sir, please don't forget to drop what you said you dropped after the.
yeah, let me go and forward it now. Pilot this.
All right. Thank you very much.
To go to Aguado or go to.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. See you on Saturday.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Good night, sir.
Please help us drop the pilot question on the platform, please.
And also
Thank
this
you.
calculation, please. And also this calculation and the notes. Thank you, sir.
All right. I will.
Thank you, sir. Please, can you please help us share the video also on the group? Thank you, sir.
The video is on YouTube.
The YouTube is not clear.
Are you
the last
sure?
class we had,
yes,
I didn't see the video on
even
the
I have to
YouTube.
leave YouTube and rejoin this because I'm not seeing the question very well.
No, that one is just setting. You just have to set it. So
I think it's setting or something. Why am I struggling with this thing for God's sake? My gosh. All right. Good evening, sir, and apologies for joining late. I just had to pull out of the call now. I'm very sorry on that. So let me quickly share my screen so that I can walk you through. And ahead of tomorrow's meeting, we'll be able to get a position. Just give me 2 minutes. Okay, so my screen is up. Okay, so revenue wise, you can see that versus last